TPLink is going to be banned. CAPTCHA might be in trouble. And Axiom has a space station. And I've broke my server again. Hey guys, welcome to No Talks Allowed. I am your host, Josh, and today I'm not wearing the white shirt, I'm wearing the gray shirt. But it's fine because I've got a purring kitten on the lap here. I don't know how well we're going to be able to edit that out of the audio, but hey, you know what? Bigpod said they wanted a challenge today, so I gave him the challenge of a kitten.
Yay.
How's it going today, Bigpod?
Going great.
Oh, okay. Well, it is a chilly morning here in the state of Ohio. I decided I'm going to wake up today and discover that my server is not turned on.
Really?
Yes. So I get to tinkering around with this. Walk over to server. Power button's lit up like it's running. Okay. Can't SSH into it. Okay. Let's hook a monitor up to this thing. I hook up a monitor to it. Well, it's currently panicking. I guess the kernel hit a kernel panic at some point, because text is flying across the street, the screen, and I don't have a keyboard that I can hook up to this to hit the pause key to pause the output. So I immediately shut it off and give it the good old fashioned hard reset. Hold power button, shut it off, and then turn it back on. It boots up. I see the systemd prompts. Systemd fails to mount root.
Oh. That's bad.
Yeah. But systemd output is there, so I know that the kernel was able to... the bootloader was, and the EFI was able to load the kernel, so I don't think that my drive's dead. So I fall into the systemd rescue shell. I managed to discover how to mount drives that way via the magic of grub, and I was able to get root mounted, and then I was able to get the system to boot. So I check the fstab file, which is no longer there.
Wow.
Well, the fstab file is there, but it's a corrupted file. Like, okay, so something strange happened here.
Yeah.
So I go to open Vim. Vim doesn't launch, because the Vim binary is also a possibly corrupted file, because it just does nothing. So I go to use Nano. Nano doesn't work. I cat the file. Cat doesn't work. Every single one of these commands comes back with a seg fault message.
Wow.
So I don't know what happened, but I have managed to sufficiently break CentOS Stream.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was a brand new release that they came out with, because I installed CentOS Stream 10. It lasted all of about 16 hours.
So, what will be your next server distro?
Well, you see, Mr. Bigpod here is just like, maybe it's time for you to try a thing that just works. I'm like, okay, well, it's obviously not going to be Silverblue, because I don't think Silverblue has a server spin yet. So I downloaded Proxmox, and we'll give Proxmox half a look, and then find out that I can still hate the Proxmox web UI, and then proceed to make things harder for me anyway.
Well, of course you can hate any web UI, but at least it works, and it's probably far more accessible and better looking and more usable than Vert Manager.
Yeah, but you see, I've used Vert Manager for years.
Sure.
I don't know how many years, because I legitimately don't know, because I've always just used it. I've never used VirtualBox. It's always been Vert Manager and KVM.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the news on the broken home lab. So thankfully the backup server is still running, so I still have access to data because it thankfully took a data snapshot because it started going down through this whole mess. So I haven't lost anything.
Good.
So I still have my 321 backups. They're still functioning. So we're doing good there. But of course, I'm also in danger because my home network stack uses TP-Link, and there's been a news story that came up recently where it's just like the U.S. Senate is thinking about banning TP-Link because TP-Link doesn't know how to patch their shit, Bigpod.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously this is a concern for me because I might need to spend like the first few paychecks of 2025 on some new routers.
And what do you think you will go with?
I don't know yet. Probably what's going to be happening is I'm going to buy like a basic router and a couple switches just to like have a functioning network.
Well, you will still
and
have
then
functionality, even with TP-Link being banned.
Well, that's true, but my concern is that if they're banned, I won't be able to get those security updates.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to get something that gets updates. So I'm probably going to move away from the smart switches and get a couple dumb switches first of all.
Okay.
And then like after that, I gotta come up with a firewall solution. So I'm either looking at like buying a dedicated firewall or making a pfSense box. So I'm looking at that. And then realistically, that's all I really need. I don't need like the super fancy like Wi-Fi or anything like that because I just don't use Wi-Fi in my house. I mean, I do for my phone because it's there, but I have an unlimited data plan, so do I really need Wi-Fi?
Makes sense, yeah. I don't use Wi-Fi on phone either. For exactly the same reason.
That's what I'm looking at right now. But Bigpod, do you know anything like what's going on here with TP-Link? Like, what exactly have they been doing wrong here with like the security patches? Have they just not been fixing things?
Apparently, they have the largest share of vulnerabilities among like router makers and stuff like that. Like they have a huge amount of vulnerabilities.
Okay. Yeah, because I went looking through like this news article here, and it says that the TP-Link makes up like 65% of the U.S. consumer market share.
That's also true, yeah.
Which is just absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And Lighted, this company's also Chinese, so
yeah.
There's some things going on with that as well. So it's they've got a target on their back, but if they ban TP-Link, they're banning like basically half the network systems in the United States. So now they actually can't get updates, and not everybody knows to buy a router.
Well, most people don't actually buy their router; they get it from their ISP.
Yeah, that is true.
So they'll just get a new router when ISP gets to updating that. Also, it's also important that most people don't update their routers. So they could have been, even if some vulnerabilities were fixed, they could still be exposed to them because unless you have automatic updates, people just aren't updating the stuff. If it's not like automatic. That's why automatic updates aren't actually a bad idea, people.
And they can be depending on how they're being implemented. But they're not a bad idea. Yeah. So, with that wonderful news, I'm gonna have a link to the TechSpot article in the show notes for the people that actually want to read this, and it's very surface level right now. That's basically what this whole discussion is. Like they haven't really gone forward with this, but it's basically just like a Senate committee has decided that they're going to be looking into this.
Yeah.
and that's what the cause of this whole question mark is. So realistically, there's a lot of speculation going around, but honestly, like the main reason why I bought the TP-Link myself was because they're cheap and it's a brand name that I recognize. Probably was not the smartest decision, but that's why I bought TP-Link.
Yeah.
But because we like to call ourselves a security podcast. That's not the only security news. Because every now and then, Bigpod, whenever you go to log into a website or you access a website for like the first time in a while, and it asks you, "Are you a human?" and you just go over there and click the little box. Apparently, that might not be working as well as people thought it was.
Who would have thought that asking someone, "Are you a human?" doesn't really tell someone that they are actually human.
Yeah, basically what we're talking about here is the CAPTCHA prompt, which, by the way, Bigpod and I learned this today, but CAPTCHA stands for Completely Automated Public Turing Test to Tell Computers and Humans Apart.
The CAPTCHA.
And now the most classic example of this is like that little image there with like the really messed up lettering, or the lettering with like a very static background, and it's just varying different colors and all that. That's like the most basic form of this, and it was quite literally just a PNG back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, people managed to figure out how to get computers to index the contents of the PNG and come up with the letters, so they changed it to something else. Like a little puzzle piece.
Even if they didn't, there were literally centers of people who solved those for AI or for bots and stuff like that. Then came other versions of CAPTCHAs, like puzzles, like how many semaphores are on the image, or select the pieces of image with semaphores in it. And also with Google came the whole "Are you a human?" question, which actually isn't just checking the checkbox and it tells you,
it does
"Are
a
you
little
human?"
bit more than that.
It does a lot more than that.
Yeah, that's the one that asks you like to complete the puzzle pieces, or click the pictures with the certain parameters on them. And the main reason why they're doing that is because they want you to move the mouse. Because what they're watching is like the actual mouse movement, more of like what you're doing. Because even though, say, if you're watching this on a desktop computer right now, just take your mouse, move it from one side of the screen to the other. That is actually not a perfect line if you're doing that with your hand. But if, say, you have a bot doing that, it's more likely to be a perfectly straight line.
Yes, and the reason, like, the reason the puzzle doesn't show itself always is because sometimes you actually do accidentally make a perfect line, and then it doesn't know if you're a human or not.
Yeah, which is why it just asks you to do it again.
Yes. But then you also have some really annoying CAPTCHAs, like what side the face is turned to and crap like that, and I really hate those.
Yeah, that said, this is where AI comes in, because AI can simulate human mouse movements now. So now we're getting into the more dystopian challenges, where now some websites are turning to biometrics. Like your fingerprint scan, or voice recognition, or Face ID.
Yay! Like a computer couldn't replicate the signal that comes from the biometric scanner or from the OS to tell it, this person authenticated. Like, couldn't that be done?
And fingerprints also are only theoretically unique. They're not confirmed.
Actually, they're not unique.
Yeah.
Any of you have a twin brother or sister, especially not the 2-egg brother, twin brother or sister. Most likely you have if you're watching us, you most likely would have the same egg brother, since basically no women watch us. But yeah, at that point, most of the features are about the same, and it is in many cases that also the fingerprint is the same, as far as I remember reading an article about that. So yeah, fingerprints aren't unique.
Yeah. So my question is, how deep down the rabbit hole do we have to go and still be able to maintain like individual privacy on the internet?
I have a feeling at one point we're just gonna go and say F this. We don't care you're a bot, we don't care if you're a human. Because at one point there will be no way to distinguish one from another.
It's coming around, you know, like I'm certain that you've heard about the dead internet theory.
Yeah.
That theory is becoming more and more true by the day from how this sounds. So I guess get your tinfoil hats, boys. It's time that we go down a conspiracy rabbit hole for real. But it's going to be interesting. Like I want to see like what groups like the groups that really talk about like the Libre side of the FOSS movement. So associations like the Free Software Foundation Europe. Yes, they are two different entities.
Yes.
They're not the same. They just share similar names. But like the Open Source Initiative or the OSI and those groups, I want to see what they come up with.
Yeah, but
Because
I think at that point, whether you're a human intelligence or a non-human intelligence, to not also not remove people or entities like non-Earth-based intelligences, it is going to be really not really cared about whether you're human or not, because honestly, we will all be citizens of the internet. You know, as they said, on internet, nobody knows whether you're a dog or not. It will be just that. Again, humans will be sprinkled among other non-human, other intelligences, like all the non-human intelligences that will exist. And it will be just completely normal. Whether I like it or not, that's a different question. But that's the reality of what will happen.
that is reality, and I don't like that. I don't like that reality. I want to reject and substitute my own, please. So
Well, there might be this place we can go to one day that will have less AI than on planet Earth. Do you know what that place is?
is it space
Yes,
via Axiom?
maybe
Because,
even
you know,
the Axiom.
So Axiom is a U.S. company, right? And they have like this vision of economy in space. And this is a company that talks about like mining asteroids and stuff like that. They've got big dreams.
Yeah.
And they're making big progress because they came up with a different assembly method for like their planned space station. And they found it to be so efficient in their models that they're literally moving up to their space station launch into operation by 2030, which is huge.
So by 2030, they were supposed to take the space station they had and unplug it from NASA's ISS. That was supposed to be the 2030 plan. That's the old plan. Now they figured they can make it work by 2028 by switching up when things launch.
Yeah, and be fully independently operational by 2030, which that's pretty cool. And all they did was just like change up like the order of things that they're putting them together in. They're not this isn't like an engineering hardware change or anything like that. It's just assembly.
There might be some hardware changes, I guess, because currently their plan was to just build out International Space Station and send the power propulsion and something module, I believe it's called PPE module. That module was supposed to be launched later. First module was supposed to be like habitat module, science modules, and stuff that are more important on ISS than on a separate station, because ISS already has power modules, the very big solar array. But they decided to send the power module earlier, which means that they can also then separate earlier. And that will save them like a couple of years, which is probably huge. Even though that doesn't actually save them a lot, it does actually give them some leeway when it comes to ISS actually leaving the orbit, because while it should be operational till 2030, we don't know. Welcome to ISS. The problem is that I in the name, international.
This is looking cool, and I'm glad that we're living through a glorious time in the space race, and basically nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, you have certain outlets talking about it, but it's the outlets like space.com, our source, outlets like NSF, and other space outlets. So nobody but people like me who are space enthusiasts reads those.
Yep, and I look forward to seeing like what happens with this, because I've always had like a passive interest in like what's going on out in space, but of course until I met you, Bigpod, which you're a big space enthusiast, I just never cared. Like I heard about the SpaceX shuttle launches and all that stuff, and it's like, yeah, cool, they're doing cool things, but since then I've been going down a bit of a rabbit hole. Like have you looked at the plan of like how they're decommissioning the ISS? Because it's
yes,
it's pretty utilitarian.
I'm really saddened. Like, this is one of the few things I'm really saddened about. They're essentially just gonna dump it in the ocean.
Yeah, they're going to attach
Yeah,
they're going to attach big thrusters to one side of it, and it's just going to shove it right into the ocean.
Yeah, it's probably gonna do a loop or two around the Earth, like in close proximity to the atmosphere, but then it's gonna fall into the graveyard piece of the oceans. And I'm really saddened, because I would rather like that it would get raised to something like, and this is a really sad name for it, but graveyard orbit, an orbit where it would be stable in that orbit for many, many, many years. It could be then used as a museum piece, or just as a monument. No, instead it's gonna get pushed into the ocean, and for the most part burning up in the atmosphere, never to be recovered again.
The atmosphere.
Well, probably most of it will burn up in the atmosphere, but in reality is even what will land in the ocean will never be recovered again, since it will be pieces. Not even like a whole module will be there. There'll be pieces of a module, pieces of truss and stuff like that. It's really sad.
But at the same time, it's better than just leaving it floating in space.
Well,
then they have to spend money to track it constantly.
Well, they're already tracking billions of objects. It's not like it's a problem. Especially since ISS is like actually a big object. You can easily track it. What they track are like objects the size of few centimeters, few millimeters, which is a lot harder to track. The catch is current orbit of ISS is actually really, really, really low. It's in the lower end of the low Earth orbit. Which means
it's also falling, isn't it?
That's like because because it is in low Earth orbit. It will always be falling because it's not in like geosynchronous orbit or even somewhere in between. It's really close to Earth for variety of reasons. One of them being that you wanted near zero G environment, and because you wanted like to actually zip around the Earth, not stay in one place. So you had to go as close to Earth as possible without it actually losing altitude so quickly that it would have a what is known as constantly decaying orbit, which it still has, but a lot slower than what you would get with something like 200 by 200 kilometers. Maybe like something 300 by 400, close to that. Which still requires, like, I believe, monthly reboosts, so monthly orbit radius, because by the month period it gets so low that it would actually cause a problem, and it would then decay in a much quicker fashion. And for that we can thank Russians, because their modules provide propulsion, and their Progress cargo aircraft provides additional propulsion for that to happen. But NASA did test with both Cygnus. Antares is the rocket that sends Cygnus, or they did send Cygnus up. And of course, SpaceX's Dragon to do the same thing in event if something happened with Progress. So
yeah, and SpaceX figured out how to do it completely uncrewed.
Yes, well, anybody can do it uncrewed. Like Progress can do it uncrewed. Cygnus does it uncrewed.
I thought SpaceX did the uncrewed launches first?
No.
No? Okay.
Uncrewed launches.
I'm remembering things wrong.
Uncrewed launches has been happening for many years. Progress spacecraft is completely uncrewed. Cygnus
that
is
tells you just how little I know about the space.
But
all
yes,
right, so
also before the SpaceX did the crewed launch, they did uncrewed launches for like many years, like 8 years or something like that. But like only uncrewed capsules actually do the reboost, from what I remember, not the crewed ones, because you want to have as much, because it's much easier for you to deal with problems with uncrewed capsules than with crewed capsules, where you need to actually have enough maneuvering fuel to actually get to the ground safely. Because who cares if the landing site for a crewed capsule that lands in the ocean is 10-20 kilometers farther to the right than it should be? Or even who cares that the capsule that burns up in the atmosphere missed its interface by 5 seconds? Nobody really cares about that stuff, so yeah. And like, especially nowadays with Crew Dragon, you really do not want to miss any of the fuel, because at this point they have a emergency procedure if parachutes don't open to land propulsively, which means engines start firing towards the ground.
Yep.
For it to hover and land, which was supposed to be the original plan how to land, but due to, well, it's propulsive landing of a capsule. Yeah, let's not do it if you don't have to. But apparently NASA now allows that procedure to happen, so it's a backup of a backup.
Yep.
Thanks God.
So
they have that.
All right, so now let's talk business here. Bigpod, we're recording this. We've got 5 days until we have our big project coming up. We talked about this towards the end of episodes, but I'm pulling this out now. So, this is going to be the last recorded and edited episode of 2024. The next episode is going to be coming out in 2025.
Well, no, actually, one more episode will come out in 2024. Yes, on 30th.
Oh.
It will be
okay. Yeah, you're
and
right.
it will be fully recorded and fully edited live on air in front of the whole wide world, or the few hundred people that might potentially watch us.
Yeah. So, obviously, I'm gonna have a link to this in the show notes, and hopefully you listen to this episode and you can join us, because this stream is going to be in basically until like I have to go back into work. So it's going to be going for basically a solid week.
Hey, and everybody, if you subscribe enough, like enough, and donate enough, I might be able to convince him to go and after work go stream back to stream. Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen.
True. You see, that's true. Like if you subscribe, or pay me money on the Patreon that we're gonna have linked right now. Patreon.com/NoTucksAllowed. I might be encouraged to go another hour.
Yeah.
Another 2 hours.
Another week.
Yeah. We're going to be doing this sensibly. Of course, we're going to be playing back. We're going to be playing our back catalog of episodes. There's 36 of them, which is theoretically enough to fill in some dead air.
And then we're gonna find some affiliated content like my YouTube videos, and after that, we're probably gonna start it all over again.
Yeah, pretty much. We're gonna put it on loop, and we'll get working with this, and we're probably going to join the live stream every now and then. We're going to play some games. Bigpod's been trying to get me to play Baldur's Gate 3, so we're probably going to play Baldur's Gate 3. I had a friend just randomly gift this game called Ellen. I might give it a look. Give a couple more looks at some of the other games I have in the Steam backlog, because I have quite the collection of games I've never played. I'm sure other people can comment. Bigpod's going to join every now and then as well, and run some stuff probably by himself. I don't know exactly what all he has planned, but I'm sure he has plans.
I'm gonna record a video during the time, and of course edit the podcast episode. Also, I plan to play some Path of Exile, and I'm probably gonna try my hand in some other stuff, like do some programming, and maybe I'll even do the YouTuber streamer thing and react to some videos by some of the friends of the podcast.
Yeah, and of course, we're gonna be at some point. We're gonna do a Tux kart race, because I'm going to win. I am going to win, even though I haven't played the game in 5 years.
Well, you're going to definitely win against me.
And completely destroy you, Bigpod.
I never played the game, so yeah.
I'm going to completely destroy you and anybody that would join us, because this is going to be a public game. Which means that I'm going to have to I'm going to have to spin up a VPS, run the server on it, and give everybody that address that's on the stream right then and there. And we race each other on some Tux kart.
Okay.
And of course, I will destroy anybody that shows up in 0AD as well. Just let me know if y'all want to play some 0AD, because I'm going to destroy everybody at 0AD, because that's a game that I enjoy playing. I always play Romans and I win.
We might get some friends of the podcast to join us on 0AD.
Of course.
We know a few people who like to play that.
Yep. So we've got big plans coming up for that. Now, obviously, during that time, we've also got to record an episode at some point, Bigpod. So why don't we just record that while we're on the stream as well?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Yep.
And then I'm going to edit it live on stream, which will be an interesting experience. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and of course, give all your wonderful bad opinions of Bigpod while you're on the stream. Of course, if for some reason you completely miss it, I'm sorry. There's a chance that we might not archive it. I don't know if
really long.
It's going to be really long, and I don't know what YouTube's archive length is. I don't know if YouTube can archive a stream that goes on for 7 days.
I don't think so. I think the limit is 24 hours.
Yeah, so it's not going to be archived, but if you hear some of the things that come out of it, we might record clips out of it, and of course, you can always send us an email to this email address that's showing up right now, contact@tuckspace.com. Send us some wonderful feedback on like what we did during the show. Like we probably did something wrong. You could probably tell us exactly what we did wrong, and just more stuff like that. And of course, if you want to shout at us individually, Bigpod, we have these links right here. These are our Fediverse links that you can put into your Mastodon instances, your threads, and that's all I remember off the top of my head that runs up. That integrates into them right now.
Pleroma.
Pleroma. Just like your Fediverse enabled accounts, and
yes,
and of course, if you need to contact us, we also have a Twitter page. I haven't looked at it for a hot minute.
Me neither.
I refuse to call it X. Elon, it's Twitter.
Yes.
That is twitter.com/NoTucksAllowed or @NoTucksAllowed. Yeah. I mean, for some reason that full name was available, so I went for it. And of course, if you want to find our universal source of truth, just go to our front page website. That is show.tuckspace.com/@NTA, of which I should probably put a link for that in the description now that I think about that. I should probably put that in there.
Yeah.
And that is going to be our universal source of truth because that connects to our wonderful server that we pay for in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, you heard that right. Our podcast is self-hosted, which means that we control the content. And if you go there and you're a Patreon subscriber, we will give you access to this thing called a premium feed, where it will show up with the pre-show. And, maybe some random tidbits, like where I might record something, post on there, and Bigpod might record something, post on there.
Yep.
You're going to get that. You're going to get a higher quality audio feed out of it, too. And, just whatever else we feel like putting in there. Because you support us, so you should probably get more us, right?
Yeah.
At least that's the general logic that most people go for. And of course, we are on our path for the YouTube channel to getting monetization enabled on YouTube. So once that comes around, much of that same content is probably going to be available from YouTube. Obviously, for the pre-stream stuff, we play some stuff that might lead to some copyright issues. So probably not the pre-show, but some other little tidbits. I really want to explore the space of things that I can do out of that. So if you have any ideas of what else we could post on there, you can also send us an email on that too.
Yep. And before we end, I really, really, really will implore you, our listeners, tell your friends, tell your family to subscribe during the stream, to like during the stream. I really want that guy over there, wherever he is on my screen, to suffer after work.
And of course, I would eventually like to not pay for this entire show out of pocket too. It's not much, but it's going to grow as we grow. So hopefully I don't have to float that entire bill and then continue to strain myself at work for even longer. All right. So, anyways, guys. That's going to be the show for this week. I know it was kind of short, but hey, that's because it's December. Things are going to pick up next month, probably.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.